Good morning, YouTube. Today is Friday, August 23rd, and we got a special guest.
We got a special guest here today.
Future loan officer, TJ. What's going on today, brother?
Say hi, buddy. Say hi to Ryan and the crew. And he doesn't talk much yet.
That's okay. That's okay. He's looking like he wants to learn today, so he's in the right spot. Ant, what's going on?
What's up, man? Good morning.
It's crazy. We started the episode and Tom and TJ's got a natural spotlight on him out of nowhere. It's wonderful.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'm on a freaking airstrip here in my backyard.
That's okay. They said you have a natural spotlight on you the second we start the show.
I know. I turned the little circle ring light on. You know what I mean?
Well,
called the sun.
Awesome that we have TJ with us today. What a way to end the week. But, boys, we're going to get right into it today. Really, we're 2 weeks into the changes in real estate. We're still here. We're all good. But here's my biggest concern, and we're going to get the discussion going today. All right. We know for years and years and years, price of commissions kind of been in the purchase price. That's all good. Fine and dandy, right? Now, the seller and the buyer seem to be negotiating themselves. No problemo. Doesn't look like the seller's offering 6% right off the bat. Maybe they're offering 3% to their agent and they're waiting to see what the buyer's going to negotiate with them. So what I was expecting to see, and maybe I'm crazy here, I was expecting to see some price reductions when these rules came into effect, because you got sellers paying 3% instead of 6% commission. In my mind, it would make sense if we got some price reductions. I'm not seeing anything out there at this point.
No, I'm the same way. I haven't seen too many price reductions at all yet. And everything, I mean, from what I'm seeing in my areas, Ryan, I still am seeing a few houses still moving. Some are still sitting. But most deals that are coming through are having that buy side paid for. Not necessarily on a CBC, but it's being asked for. So I do feel what you're saying is that the commission is still priced in there.
Well, Anth, this is my biggest thing is I don't want buyers to be like, oh, man, I'm asking the seller to pay this. This is really going to affect my offer. Right now, these sellers are out there potentially making 3% more on the sale of their house if you don't ask for it as a buyer. So really, right now in the market, it seems like you should be at least asking for it as a buyer.
Yeah. I mean, as if I was buying a home, I would definitely want to have that discussion. I think, through the rumblings and what we hear out here is, hey, listing agents aren't going to drop the price. Ultimately, it affects a couple different things, and sellers want the most they can get, even though they're sitting on the most equity they've probably ever seen. So that 3% is going to be it's going to be a drop in a bucket compared to the equity they're sitting on. But yeah, I mean, I am seeing, more buyers as well, going in, what they're offering. There's no CBC, but they're negotiating based on what the net offer is. And I think that's what the plan of the changes was supposed to be, is go in with your offer. The seller's looking at the net, and they're taking the best offer based on that.
And you're absolutely right. It's just you hear a couple, buyers that are barely paying attention. You're like, oh, I have to pay my commission now. And that's not necessarily the case. Yes, you can pay it out of pocket if you would like. But when I'm talking to buyers, I would start out still asking for it to be paid for by the seller and negotiate from there. I would not just, unless it's multiple offers, it's a hot house, you really need to put your best foot forward. And that's what you have your agent for, to kind of guide you through what you need to do to put this offer in. But as a buyer, please understand, you can still put it in your negotiation, put in your offer, and have that seller pay your side of the commission.
I think it's important to mention that the buyer always paid the buy side commission. It was just built into the price of their house. They're paying more for that commission. If they wanted to, 3 years ago say, hey, your house isn't moving, I'm,
sure,
we'll offer you less. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was always in there. I mean, you could offer them less and say, I'll pay my agent out of pocket, maybe to save money on transfer tax fees or tax assessments. But that was always the case and always the option. I think it was just misconstrued a little bit over the years.
For sure. It definitely kind of got buried in the weeds, especially the last couple years when it's been a seller's market. It's been highest and best. It was just fighting to get into a home, open house around the block. Definitely we understand the market, but also our biggest concern is with the buyers. And whenever you're not we get out there, I was expecting to see some price reductions. I really was. I was expecting to say, hey, Mr. Seller, you're not offering 6, you're only offering 3. Let's lower the price. That's not happening because the seller doesn't know if the buyer is going to bring anything for them to pay. So they're waiting to see it. The market will work themselves out. That's the beauty of a free market. It will work itself out. But right now, so early in these stages, it's just you hear some buyers that are like, so, oh man, it's negative. I got to pay this commission. My costs are going to go up. What does this mean for me? It's like, no, you have the option to pay the commission. But it seems from my side of things, that house is still priced with the buyer side of commission in there. So you should start those negotiations with asking for it.
Yeah, that's been my direction as well to everybody I've been meeting with and talking to. I mean, ask for it. If they don't want to do it, then you start negotiating. If they don't have any other offers, they don't have any other choice. So exactly. You're really trying to make your offer the strongest. And that's what we've been trying to do since we started trying to get people houses, is trying to give the best offer and give them the best opportunity, put their best foot forward to get into that home.
And it's all about the options, right, Anth? You got to give buyers some options and figure out what works best for them. But even if the seller doesn't pay all of the commission, you paying a 0.5% or 0.25% out of pocket is way better than paying 2, 3, 4% out of pocket.
Yeah, and I think this is what sets us apart from a lot of other lenders. Is a lot of other lenders are not going to provide those options to try to help the client as well as the agent in the process to get their offer accepted. And again, it's just going to be based on the highest net. When it's all said and done, the seller's going to take the most. So if you're working with a lender or a loan officer like one of us, and we're going to help you structure that transaction so that if there's 5 offers on a property and they're all coming in with 3% compensation, but then you've talked to one of us and we structured your transaction where, hey, we're showing 1.5 built in as part of your closing, and you're only asking for 1.5, or maybe you're not asking for any because we worked up that transaction and structured it the right way, that you're able to do this on your own without asking the seller. You're the winner. You're the highest net offer because the seller doesn't have to pay anything. So it's very important that the agent and the buyer work very closely with their lenders so that it can be structured the right way. Just going in and saying, let's hope for the best and we'll see what happens, is not going to really work, especially when the buyer has to cover any of that cost.
Yeah, and I do think so far so good with our agents working closely with us, with the buyers, not having any hiccups, getting all the questions answered. And like I said, I do not see any issues, or it's not like I'm seeing offers being put in with some commission being paid for by the seller and the seller's just balking at it and saying, absolutely not, right? There's a lot of negotiation going on. There's a lot of sellers still paying buyer broker commission. So just know you can negotiate. Please negotiate your offers.
Yeah, I mean, just the personal experience. I've had one of the 9 deals since this started. was paying the 3%. All the other ones, the seller was paying for with the CBC or through line 3A on the sales agreement. So I do think that a lot of sellers are still offering, and they're not balking at it. Like you said, it's going to be kind of normal, but if you're not going to ask for it, why would they give it to you, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Um,
Closed mouth don't get fed, Tom.
100%. I've learned that very quickly. So I have a question for you guys. Do you think when putting in an offer, if you even do like a 0.5%, we're paying our buyer commission 0.5%, do you think that makes the seller feel like that buyer's pretty strong because they're willing to do what other people aren't? Do you think that puts them ahead of anybody by doing that?
Sure.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like anything. If you do anything, just like Anthony said, it's the bottom line to the seller. So anything that you're going to do ahead of the other offers it used to just be almost higher purchase price, but now you have options. It doesn't just have to be higher purchase price. It can be pay this or pay that, pay the transfer tax, pay the commission, where yes, I think if you're in a multiple offer situation and you can tell the seller that they're going to pay 0.5% less than someone else, I think that has absolutely the chance of winning you that deal.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, I did have one this week where they paid only 0.5% and they ended up winning by $2,000. I mean, that's all the difference on a $400,000 deal sometimes, is doing that and doing a little bit extra. I think it's worth it to have the discussion with your loan officers, with us, to structure it the proper way to win.
I would assume most sellers are looking at the bottom line. They may look at loan type, closing date, buyer's pre-approval, but more than likely a seller's not accepting a much lower offer unless there's a reason for it. So like Anth said, numbers don't lie. Highest net to the seller is going to win, and let us help you structure that loan.
Yeah.
Well,
speaking the truth.
That's it. That's it for Friday. Tom's throwing up I don't know what, but have a great weekend. You know where to get a hold of us. See you Tuesday.
See you guys.